Westboro Baptist Church, to me, represents I don't consider them to be a church, of course. It's another one of these little tiny incestuous cults run by the guy who's the head of it, who I think built up his congregation by having sex with his daughters and impregnating them, and then the mother having sex with their sons and becoming impregnated so that their little congregation would expand. But anyway, you know what they do. You know what this group of fools actually does. Anyway, over the weekend, they attempted to picket a military funeral in North Carolina. And there was a counter-protest, people trying to protect the grieving family from these filthy pigs who were rooting and making noises across the street. The service was meant to honor 29-year-old Staff Sergeant Donna Johnson, who was among 14 people killed earlier this month in a suicide bomber attack in Afghanistan. Donna Johnson is survived by her wife, Tracy, also a member of the armed forces. Now, this group of scum, which frequently links the death of American soldiers to the nation's growing acceptance of gays, had announced their intention to demonstrate. Boy, this is perfect, right? Two soldiers, both women, who are legally married, and one of them gets blown up in a suicide attack. So here come the scum. ABC 11 in North Carolina reported that hundreds of people showed up to block Westboro members from disturbing the service. Now, that in itself, I think, speaks volumes about, I don't know how the anti-gay marriage thing passed in North Carolina. I think a lot of Democrats or progressive people just stayed home. But anyway, hundreds of people showed up to provide a shield so the family would not see these scum. There was a group there, the Guardian of Valor, and they reported on their blog, and you can see the video. All of a sudden, this guy breaks out of the demonstrators who are trying to protect the grieving family and runs across the street and grabs one of these Westboro Baptist Church pieces of human waste, just rushes him, tackles him, and starts pounding the hell out of him, just beating his ass. Well, then the cops come and a whole bunch of people, and they pull the guy off, who's just beating the living hell out of this Westboro Baptist Church thug. And the Guardian of Valor blog reports that the guy who attacked was later released by police with no charges filed. Amen and amen. Yeah, well, good. Good. Now, this group of morons, this incestuous group of thugs who travel around understanding that nobody's going to hurt them because other people respect the law. And I think maybe this is a turning point. If I had a family member who is dead and being interred, and these clowns showed up, I don't care what the consequences would be. I'd pick up the nearest steel bar and go over and start crushing skulls. That's just me. I'm not advocating that, but that's what I would do. Now, I wouldn't shoot them. I would want it up close and personal. I would beat them. And if somebody didn't stop me, like the police or other people, I would just beat them to death. Now, if that sounds terrible, gee, I'm sorry, but that's exactly what I feel and exactly what I would attempt to do. And we could probably crush a couple skulls before I got stopped. To me, these people don't deserve to live. Really, I mean that. Even though they are the product of incestuous insanity and religious, a maniacal, just total divorcement from the rest of the human family. I can't help myself. Somebody that foul and vile. We're at my family member who was being buried, my family funeral, and these people showed up. No, I'm sorry. So apparently this guy who rushed out of the crowd and rushed these pigs felt the same way. He just, that was it. And I'm glad to see that the police let him go. But what these animals do prompted legislative action earlier this year. Obama signed a law placing restrictions on the timing and location of military funeral protests. Westboro swine vowed that they would not be deterred. Jonathan Phelps, this is the Phelps family. Jonathan Phelps, a prominent member of this bunch of pigs, summarized the Westboro Church's views on the lesbian and gay community last week when he told a radio host, quote, "I absolutely support the notion of putting gays to death," end quote. Now, if you are up against that kind of attitude, it's time to go medieval. It really is. It's time to get real Old Testament on these people and pick up the jawbone of an ass. And if you can't find one, a steel bar will do just as well, and go crush them. I never said I was a pacifist. Never. You know, no. And you'd be surprised how many progressives are not. How many so-called liberals, how many so-called believers in the basic goodness of human nature, as I, have our limits. You know, I am first and foremost an animal myself. So when I see something this vile, this filthy, this counter to humanity, to me there is one ultimate reaction. I would hope I wouldn't get to that point as a first reaction, but I've been watching these swine for the better part of 2 decades, I think. It's been a long time since this Westboro Baptist Church first started showing up at anyone's funeral, but especially military funerals, with their signs: God hates fags, another dead soldier, amen, praise Jesus. Just on and on and on like this. Well, so much for diversity, huh? I'm a firm believer in freedom of speech and diversity, and everybody's entitled to what they believe in, up to a point. Yes, there's always a point. And I think I realized I had a point beyond which I can't go when I got old enough to read about Treblinka, or old enough to read about the collectivization in Ukraine during the bad old days in the 30s of Uncle Joe, or when I started reading about how many people were slaughtered by Mao or Pol Pot. All of a sudden it occurred to me very clearly and very definitively that staying out of the way and respecting somebody else's right to go insane is bull hockey. There are limits. And like I say, I know where mine are. You probably know where yours are too. Okay. Enough of that. I can feel my stomach churning already, and I have to go to bed in 15 minutes. Okay. When we come back, let's move to something a little more entertaining, like how Walmart is going to respond to these strikes that are breaking out around the country. All right? You can fool with your brother.